Have you ever feared being alone? But maybe solitude is actually one of the greatest gifts of growing older. When the noise quiets down and it's just you, that silence isn't sadness. It's the beginning of truly understanding your own heart. Solitude isn't weakness. It's strength. It's depth. Being alone doesn't mean being lonely. It means living honestly. It's wisdom. It's a quiet, powerful return to yourself. Free, strong, and grounded. As we age, we begin to see that solitude isn't something to avoid. It's something to embrace. It's where clarity lives and where peace begins. Alone, we finally learn to be. Have you ever felt like you're living multiple lives, all within one body? In the morning, you're a parent rushing to get the kids ready for school. By noon, you're an employee absorbing pressure from your boss, your job, your endless to-do list. In the late afternoon, you become the dutiful child caring for aging parents. And by night, you're trying to be a kind, supportive partner. Each role comes with its own mask, and we wear them so well, we sometimes forget what our real face looks like. Adulthood isn't just exhausting because of responsibilities. It's draining because of the constant shift in roles, like a machine that never powers down. We live trying to meet everyone's needs, everyone's expectations. But how often do we stop to ask, who am I living for? Behind polite smiles and the automatic, I'm fine, there's often a soul that's worn out, craving rest. Not just the kind of rest that comes from sleep, but the kind where you don't have to perform. The kind where you don't have to pretend to be okay. You just get to be, honestly, quietly, fully. Maybe that's why, as we grow older, we find ourselves craving solitude more than ever. Not because we hate the world, but because solitude gives us something the world can't. The permission to be real. A little peace. A quiet corner that no one else touches. A space where the mask can fall away, and we can finally breathe as ourselves. Sometimes, what we need isn't more time or more achievements. What we really need is a gentle return to the whole, unfiltered person we've always been inside. When we were young, we were afraid of being alone. Even a dark corner in the room could make our hearts race. We'd turn on the light, run to our parents, seeking a hand, a voice, a warm breath beside us to feel safe. But then we grow up, and one day, without warning, we start to seek out solitude, as if it's a gift only adulthood can teach us to value. It's those 10 extra minutes sitting quietly in the car after work, not ready to answer to anyone just yet. It's standing under the shower longer than needed, not to wash off dirt, but to rinse away the weariness inside. It's the late night moments when the house is asleep and you open a book, not for anyone to understand you, not to share with anyone, but simply to be alone with your thoughts and the silence. Loneliness, something that once brought you to tears as a child, has become a luxury. Not everyone has it, and even fewer know how to find it. In a world full of noise, being alone without feeling empty is a quiet form of strength. You're not running away from life. You're finding your way back to yourself, to a place where nothing needs to be proven. The older we get, the more we come to realize happiness isn't measured by how many people surround us. Sometimes just being with yourself, fully and peacefully, is more than enough. Solitude isn't something to fear. It's something to cherish. Because in those quiet moments, we're no longer performing, pleasing, or pretending. We're just being whole, honest, free. There's an unspoken truth. The biggest breakthroughs in life often happen in the quietest moments. When the applause fades, when no one is checking in or cheering you on, that's when you finally have the space to face yourself. And from that space, real change begins. Solitude isn't about escaping. It's the soil where ideas grow, the soft ground where the seeds of thought take root. We're often told that success comes from networking, collaboration, and building relationships. And yes, that's partly true. But if you look closely, you'll see that the world's most creative minds, scientists, artists, writers, have always needed one thing first: time alone. Einstein once said that if he had to choose, he'd become a lighthouse keeper for the quiet that deep thinking requires. Haruki Murakami spends hours each day in silence, running and writing, not because he's cutting himself off from the world, but because he knows the outer world will never be quiet unless we create inner stillness for ourselves. In solitude, You don't have to play a role. You're just you, with your unfinished thoughts, your quiet questions, your growing dreams. And in those still hours, something starts to shift. You begin to grow, slowly, quietly, deeply, because personal growth doesn't always make noise. Sometimes it sounds like the turning of a page late at night. Sometimes it looks like staring out the window, lost in thought. Sometimes it's just you sitting alone, yet moving forward more than ever. Solitude doesn't isolate us. It connects us to something deeper. It's not a step back. It's a return inward. And from that inner space, we move forward in ways we never could in the noise. We live in an era where being connected is often seen as a measure of success. How many friends do you have on social media? How many texts do you send in a day? How many meetups, invitations, or parties are you juggling? And yet, with all those people around, why does your heart still feel so empty? Some relationships don't nourish you, they drain you. Some conversations don't spark joy, they just leave you more tired. Polite check-ins, forced smiles, and nods out of obligation can slowly make you feel like a stranger to yourself. As we grow older, we realize we don't need more relationships. We need real ones. And just as importantly, we need space. Space to breathe, to sit in silence without feeling guilty, to let a message sit unanswered without anxiety, to not show up every time, just to prove we're not alone. Because honestly, there's nothing lonelier than forcing yourself to fit into spaces that don't feel like home. Surface-level socializing can feel like a loud party with no flavor. You laugh, you talk, but when it's over, you're left feeling depleted. What you really need isn't more company. It's less of what makes you feel alone in a crowd. Learning to choose your connections wisely, knowing when to engage and when to step back, isn't selfish. It's self-respect. And sometimes all it takes is a quiet moment, one person who truly sees you, or even just you, fully present with yourself, for life to feel complete. You don't have to keep proving you belong. You already do, right where you are, in your own quiet space. And in that space, life can finally start to feel like your own. People often think a happy marriage means always being together, doing everything side by side, never apart. But in reality, a little space might just be what helps love last. When we're in love, we want to merge into one. But as we grow in love, we learn the value of keeping a part of ourselves just for us, a quiet room within our soul where only we are allowed to enter. A healthy marriage doesn't demand constant closeness. On the contrary, it thrives on space. Space to breathe, to pursue passions, to grow without losing who we are. Some couples share the same home, but have separate bedrooms, separate habits. They eat dinner together. Then each retreats to their own world, reading, painting, meditating, or simply enjoying the quiet. And strangely enough, that separation brings them closer. No one feels suffocated. No one loses themselves in the other's emotions. Solitude, the positive kind of being alone, helps each person keep their true self alive within the relationship. When you stay connected to who you are, you're able to love more fully. That love isn't built on need or dependency. It's a conscious, voluntary choice to walk alongside one another. Respecting each other's space doesn't cool down love. It actually keeps the flame from burning out too quickly, overwhelmed by constant demands. Because sometimes the thing that preserves love isn't always togetherness. It's the freedom to miss each other, to long for one another, and to return by choice, not out of obligation. In a mature marriage, distance isn't a threat. It's a quiet gift that lets love breathe, stretch, and strengthen. True connection doesn't require constant proximity. Sometimes the most loving thing you can give your partner is space. Space to be, to grow, and to come back. Not because they have to, but because they want to. Not everyone who's alone feels lonely, and not everyone in a crowd feels connected. There's a fine line between solitude, a chosen stillness, and loneliness, a painful sense of being left behind. Understanding the difference is the first step toward living a more peaceful and fulfilling life. Positive solitude is when you choose to be alone, not because you've been forgotten, but because you want to listen to yourself. It's the quiet comfort of sitting alone with a cup of tea, reading a few pages of a book, and feeling content. You don't need someone by your side to feel worthy. You don't need noise to prove you're alive. Loneliness, on the other hand, is feeling left out. It's longing for a hand to hold, a voice to hear, an eye to meet, and finding no one. It's that emptiness in your chest, even in a room full of people. And that feeling can slowly wear you down, even lead to sadness and despair. But here's the beautiful part. You can turn loneliness into something meaningful. When you stop seeing silence as a punishment and start seeing it as a gift. When you understand that time alone is time to grow, to heal, and to reconnect with who you are and what you truly need. Solitude isn't the enemy. Sometimes it's your greatest friend. It gives you room to recharge, to step away from meaningless noise, to slow down and truly feel life. And one day, you'll stop fearing being alone, because you'll realize no one can understand and love you more deeply than you do, especially in those quiet, honest moments that are yours and yours alone. Being alone doesn't have to feel empty. Sometimes, it's exactly where wholeness begins. Have you ever wondered what makes an ordinary afternoon feel memorable? It's not the noise, not the loud laughter or busy crowds. Sometimes it's the quiet, that peaceful moment when you're alone, fully yourself. We've gotten used to living in a fast-paced world, where every second is filled with sounds, notifications, and the presence of others. But if you step outside that rhythm, even for a little while, you'll discover a different world, a quieter, deeper one, patiently waiting for you. Try taking a morning walk alone. Listen to the birds, the breeze, and the sound of your own footsteps on the pavement. No one's rushing you. No one's asking what's on your mind. It's just you and the rhythm of life. And in that space, every feeling becomes more real. Sit quietly with a cup of tea, read your favorite book, or doodle with no goal in mind. You don't need praise. You don't need a result. All you need is to feel at peace. That's not wasting time. It's investing in your soul. Silence and stillness are rare gifts in today's noisy world. They give you the chance to reconnect with yourself, to hear the thoughts that get drowned out by everything else. When you learn to enjoy those moments alone, you stop feeling lonely. You begin to feel full of love, awareness, and strength. The kind you need to live life on your terms. A quiet afternoon, a solo walk, a silent cup of tea. These aren't empty moments. They're where presence lives. And presence is where the heart rests, the mind clears, and the soul breathes. So the next time you find yourself alone, don't rush to fill the silence. Let it hold you. You might just find that it's exactly what you needed all along. Solitude, being alone, isn't as frightening as it seems. In fact, it's one of the most valuable gifts we can give ourselves to grow, reflect, and become stronger each day. In today's fast-paced world, filled with noise, stress, and constant demands, making time for yourself isn't just helpful, it's essential. Learning to enjoy solitude isn't a sign of weakness or isolation. On the contrary, it's a reflection of wisdom and emotional maturity. When you allow yourself to slow down and embrace the quiet, you create space to hear your truest feelings and connect with the strongest version of who you are. Imagine those rare moments when you can step away from the chaos, when your mind feels clear, free, and calm. That's when healing happens. That's when you recharge and nourish the happiness that lasts. In that stillness, you learn to accept, appreciate, and love yourself more deeply than ever before. Personally, I've found that every time I carve out space to be alone, I walk away more confident, more grounded, and more in tune with what really matters. Solitude brings balance. It gives me the clarity to keep moving forward. I hope this message inspires you to stop fearing solitude and start seeing it as a trusted companion. If this video resonates with you, feel free to hit like, leave a comment to share your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for more uplifting content. Together, let's keep growing, one peaceful moment at a time.